After John Wesley wrote his New Testament notes, which were in the 1750s, 1754, okay, and this is what he wrote. Milton justly supposes that if ever angelic minds reasoned on, quote, free will entire, foreknowledge absolute, they would find no end in wandering mazes lost. How much less can a human mind reconcile them? Men have no line to fathom such a depth. We may, however, rest in this. Yet my foreknowledge causes not their fault, which had no less been certain unforeknown. I believe you will find some light on the head. So now Wesley's giving him some direction about this issue of foreknowledge, and predestination obviously is the subject matter here. I believe you'll find some light on the head by reading that Predestination Calmly Considered, which he wrote. Okay, John Wesley wrote. The illustrators, Mr. Harwood, Leibniz, Clark, Montesquieu, and above all, that wretched man Voltaire. So he just brought up a whole bunch of people who are out of line, okay, with Christianity, would only unhinge and perplex your mind. So he's saying don't go into those kind of reading, that kind of reading that'll hurt you. And he says Hall, Scott, Sharp, and then the name Whitby appears right there. Whitby and Fleetwood are good writers. So are Locke, Hooper, and Mosham in their several ways, but far less useful than Baxter and Law. All right, Dr. South, Knight, and Taylor are some of the finest writers in the English tongue, if you mean Dr. James Knight of St. Sepulchre's. Okay, and then he says, but I believe the best way for you would be to read only a few select authors. Then, mixing reading with prayer, you would not only find good desires, but they would be brought to good effect. I am your servant for Christ's sake. To Mr. Richard Locke at Burnham near Bridgewater, footnotes say some other things about it, but it's obviously the subject matter's predestination, all right? And so he didn't reference anything about end times. It has the last name Whitby, and it's clearly saying that, you know, that they have some good, but it's limited. And he's only talking about, like what we mentioned earlier, that at one point this man's writings were used for a defense of Arminianism, which is what he's saying to use it for here. He's not talking about end times at all. There's no reference to eschatology in this letter at all. Would you agree with that? And then as we continue with the interview, I want to show you further something that you've written in this same book that we discussed that you wrote. John Wesley's Reading Evidence in the Book Collection at Wesley's House, London. All right, so I want you to briefly discuss